And so it's an opportunity for our donors to meet the researchers which they help fund.
That's how the link initially started. And that's how the partnership and the hearts were beating together with WTA.
We welcome donor support and donor activity joining us anywhere in the world to watch this continue to grow.
Hello, welcome to Georgia's Cross Border. Today's interview is very meaningful. I got honors to interview Robert Keenas and Marilyn Merce. So we all ordinary people have a full-time job, but we also do a very meaningful things, which is initiates the different campaign for cancer research, specifically link tennis player. Let's explore the story from here. Since we start the interview, can you introduce yourself?
My name's Robert Keenas. I'm a 40-year lawyer with Snell & Wilmer in Las Vegas. I'm a 20-year blood cancer survivor, and I'm part of the energy behind an international group of doers called Cancer Research Racket. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
So nice to have you here. Yeah. And then Marilyn.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us. My name is Marilyn Mertz. I have been part of this Cancer Research Racket group as a brainstormer for the past 11 years. And I am very happy to be with you today to explain more about what we do.
Yeah, that's what you guys are doing amazing. I heard like the Roland-Garros the fundraising for the first day we reached 300,000 grand, and I received it. We made it. I say, wow, how is that happens? Like, let's talk about that event. Like, how the way that's we can funding the American cancer.
Well, Roland-Garros is the biggest event.
It's on now.
It's on now.
Yeah.
And this is obviously a very, very important event for tennis fans. And it's a very important event for us too at this cancer research groups that we are helping, because it's our biggest event in the year. It's 200 people who are here for a good cause, cancer research, to have fun watching tennis and hopefully combine both together.
So what's the idea? So Roland-Garros is a tennis event, and you bring the researcher from where?
So from the States.
From the States.
Roland-Garros is our thank you event, right? We have people who are part of our group from many cities, from so many countries. And during the year, each of those groups raise money. And the thank you, we wanted to organize a thank you event where the donors could meet the researchers that they have funded over time. We funded 11 grants over time, and we flew 4 of our cancer researchers to Paris. And so it's an opportunity for our donors to meet the researchers which they help fund.
Wow, okay. So it's an event not just for tennis, it's also for the cancer researching, meeting the tennis fan.
Absolutely. It's combining both the fun element of watching tennis in a hospitality suite that the French Tennis Federations help us to organize, and doing that for a great cause, cancer research. Yeah. It's a way to see as well how tangible our group is and concretely what the actions are of our group. Very often when you're involved in a charitable activity like cancer research, you don't necessarily know where your funds are going. Here with our group, you know exactly that Ryan Honecker, for example, was our first cancer researchers that we helped through a charity to conduct his research. And on that day, he can explain to the existing donors present at the event or future potential donors what exactly the cancer research was back then and what has he able to achieve and what other researchers still need funding and needs our help.
And I think it's important to note that our group at Roland-Garros is not random. So these aren't people off the street who would love to attend the French Open, and this is a way to do it. These people, it doesn't matter from what country or what city, have several traits in common. They have charitable hearts. They already care about the cancer research cause, and they have great opportunities at their work. So they're charitable and they're successful in their cities, and they care. So it's a very unique group, not random at all.
No, of course, yeah.
And it's a group now that is able to fund on average about one cancer research grant per year. At least this is our goal. And for the past few years, we've achieved our goal. This year, 2025, 20 years that Rob is in remission, we have achieved our goal again.
Yep.
And our 11 cancer researcher is now funded.
That's amazing. Yeah.
But we think following the snowball effect, right? There will be a time when we're funding, hopefully, more than just one grant a year.
Yeah, I'm sure that's Wimbledon is coming. I'm hoping that we can do that, the same thing in Wimbledon. But the things as you pointed out, it's an opportunity for donor get the chance to see the researcher. So they build up the personal connections. It's not just personal connection. They know exactly what they're supporting, what their supporting sponsor been doing, and what field of cancer they were doing. And that they can face-to-face talk to the researcher. Am I right?
Yeah.
A lot of donor, like a charity, so they donate money in the society, cancer society or environmental society. Most of the time, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, people will question about where's my money gone?
Right, they don't know where. But that's the unique thing about this group is that the donors can donate through their events or individually, and they know that it's all going to fund a grant, and then they get opportunity to meet the researcher the following year.
And can you imagine that was a vision from Rob already 20 years ago when he funded that charity following a personal event.
Yeah.
And you had this vision that you made possible by working with the American Cancer Society that due diligences the cancer researchers that we help then fund.
Well, the backstory to that, it's not like it all came together one day over coffee.
We need to know that the backstory and how we can copy that and make it happen again in a different location.
So we tried to come up with different events where people could work together to fund grants, but that didn't happen for a while. And again, keep in mind, originally the American Cancer Society, their fundraising model was to host galas in specific cities.
Mm-hmm.
And when I originally met with them, I said, I have friends who care in different cities around the world, but if we host a gala in Vegas, my friends, they love me and I love them, but they're not flying to Vegas for a charity event. So it took a while for the American Cancer Society to understand who our group was, and that we were not, we didn't fit their fundraising mold. And that's why it took them a little bit of time to figure out how they could possibly help our group. And when they finally came up with the ability for us to host separate events, donate and wire all the funds to the American Cancer Society, and then over time fund a researcher, that was a great solution. But that wasn't there immediately.
Right. But we worked it out, so how to getting the funding and directly to the research group.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is part of a program at the American Cancer Society, which is called the Pay-If program. Mm-hmm. It's a program where as soon as you have reached a certain amount of money and you have essentially collected and fundraised enough to reach a certain amount, then you will have the opportunity to fund a certain cancer researcher from a list that the American Cancer Society gives you. So the American Cancer Society, we said, you reach your threshold.
Yeah.
Here's a list of
Here's
researchers
that you can choose
from.
Yeah.
And depending on every year, we will, orientate the search towards a certain type of cancer or a multi-type of cancer. And we say, well, we're going to choose this researcher. And this researcher can be anywhere in the world. We have researchers that are in the US, but we also have researchers that are
in the UK,
anywhere internationally, in the UK, in Scandinavia, literally anywhere in the world, because cancer is a global disease. Cancer doesn't discriminate.
Human.
And it's very unfair. I think we all can say that.
Yeah.
This is our way to make it a bit fairer and pay it forward to find new help.
So is that American Cancer Research, they funding all the researchers from global, not just have to be American?
Correct.
So initially, the grants that they funded, or the grants that they approved and gave us the opportunity to fund were basically researchers from the States.
Yeah.
But that's changing.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting about some of the things that American Cancer Society had to adapt because of our group. Initially, when this started, when the American Cancer Society would accept donations online,
Yeah.
they would only accept donations in dollars. And so we're like, you're going to need to change your platform to accept donations in currency other than dollars, which they did. But they're
You.
For us and others, obviously, but yes.
but now globally, but for more groups. But initially, because our group was so different from their model, they had to make some changes to accommodate this. But it's worked out great.
Wow. Okay. So you guys can make in the American Cancer, the change in their structure, their support for the research. It shows like we're doing the right things. I mean, you guys really influence them, right?
I think they just shared the vision of Rob, and they saw how determined he was to really help and pay forward the help that he got himself.
Yeah.
So the other thing, the beauty, we're talking earlier about the flexibility of our particular group, which is because the funds get sent to the American Cancer Society, our group basically gets to host the event, various events, and again, very little red tape, because this group is a bunch of wonderful doers with great ideas. When people come up with ideas, we're like, okay, how can we make that work? Which we do, and then things happen. So there's one time you and your friends wanted to host events in Croatia.
Yes, absolutely.
And we said yes.
And we said yes. One year we did an event at an academy of one of my very good friends, Patrick Moratoglu.
Oh, yes.
Said yes. So we organized.
Really? Did you hold one event in?
We organized a tennis training program over a weekend, and Patrick kindly donated his own time to the event, and it was great.
Same thing. People who care and we love hosted events in Edinburgh. So the cities, wherever there are people who care and want to be a doer and help advance the cause, we can make it work.
Yeah. So my mission is going to be holding events in China. That's why I want to conduct this interview, because there's a culture gap from even me, my understanding about how this donor, the society directly related to the research. And then my next question is how that's going to be directly related to a tennis player. Because, we three of us all have the hobby as a tennis player, right? Mm-hmm. So that is I want to do something. I love this sport. I want to support this sport some other way as well. So how that works, like from cancer researcher, the beneficial going to be tennis player. Can you explain to me?
So it all came initially as an idea from Rob, because tennis was your passion, and cancer was something that affected you, and that was, I want to fight this with the means I have, which is my love for tennis. But then things evolved over time as organizing tennis events got us closer to certain tennis federations, and notably the WTA, which is the Women's Tennis Association. And Women's Tennis Association heard about our events that we were organizing, and notably the Roland-Garros one, given we are the biggest hospitality event of the entire fortnight. Can you imagine that? 200 people taking over the biggest suite of Roland-Garros, unheard of from the full fortnight of Roland-Garros.
Yeah.
So they heard about our group was quite uncommon.
Yeah.
And that was at a time where the WTA was interested to fund their own philanthropic arm, the WTA Charities Foundation. And they had the vision to say, we want to help honoring some of our WTA players, former or current, who have been affected by cancers. Some of them have been able to fight it. Some of them, unfortunately, did not manage to fight it. And they wanted to honor their memories. And they partnered with us and said, we would like to actually help raising funds in honor of the memory of former WTA players. So the first, players were past players who unfortunately passed away from the disease. we funded grants in honor of their memories. That attracted WTA, very engaged former players, to help us as well be present at our events, to then be able to attract more people to come to our events. And I'm very, very grateful, and I'm sure you are too, to, for example, Martina Navratilova or Chris Everts.
Absolutely.
Both of them have been affected as well by cancer in different ways. Martina, because her former doubles player's partner, Yana Novotná, passed away from the disease. Chris Everett, because her sister passed away from the disease and herself was affected by cancer. Both of them helped us to raise funds at our events by giving of their time at our events and being there and present. So that's how the link initially started. And that's how the partnership and the hearts were beating together with WTA.
And again, when a couple of years ago, when Hologic became the global sponsor for the WTA, Marilyn and I were just shaking our heads, like how perfect can that be? Of all the entities in the world that could sponsor the WTA tour, how about a company whose heart is in cancer research and cancer prevention? So it's been beautiful.
I'm sure they will if there's they've been approached, they've been educated the way not only you holding, like you sponsor the whole event, you also set aside some funds to sponsor the players like who's struggling with the disease. So it's just like, I'm sure they will. Like there's a lots of Chinese companies that sponsor footballs and even tennis. I know like Oppo and other companies, like if they being approached by this is what we're doing, they will definitely be generous, like set aside some funds for the players or the sports players, not just have to be
again, just continuing with the snowball effect, right? Which is the WTA finals are now in Riyadh, and so our contact at the WTA went and attended the event last year, the WTA finals in October. It turns out people in Saudi Arabia care about advancing cancer research. So we may be making a trip to Riyadh in November to continue exploring that and see if the snowball is going to roll even more.
And can you imagine the snowball effect is also Hologic, which is this partner who is now involved and is, a dominant player in cancer prevention for the machines that do the mammographies, for example. Hologic has a program with the WTA where every ace on tour, on the major WTA tours, are sponsoring cancer research. So every time you watch tennis, every time you watch a WTA player at a major event and
have an ace,
their opponent, money goes to cancer research.
Wow, that's interesting. So audience, like I'm gonna have notes and write down which players is getting aces in the tennis events, and then so the number of the aces they're doing.
Exactly.
So the money like paid by the Holist, like the Hologic is the mammogram company would donate the money to the cancer research.
Exactly. So when you have
let's do aces
at the WTA 500 event, at the WTA 1000 events, so think about the Rome events or the Monaco events, you will see, and watch your TV next time, you will see like a sign on your TV says Ace by Hologic.
Oh wow, that's
actually telling you some more money goes to cancer research thanks to that. So I am all in for more aces on tour.
Oh yeah, that's why you try to aces as well. Okay, are all the players aware of this?
It's a very good question.
Yes.
I would say
everybody.
The WTA, the fact that the WTA is involved in our charity helps us to get a lot of visibility. So they have this hashtag, which is called
Acing
for cancer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this hashtag helps actually getting all the awareness from the players. So think about a Coco Gauff, for example.
Yeah.
She was part of the visibility program to bring awareness about this acing program that gives money for the cause. In return, Hologic gets also visibility for that as well. WTA helps honoring the memories of past players or current players fighting the disease, and it all benefits the great cause. So everyone wins in this multi kind of like partnership effect.
And then the other thing I would add is when it's time to fund the grant, which is always an excellent time, the WTA has a players council. So when we narrow down the grants that we're considering about funding, so maybe 6 or 8, then we send that to the WTA, to the Players Advisory Board. They look, they make recommendations. So on a variety of levels, I think the players are aware.
Exactly. So we have just reached the threshold to fund our 11th cancer research grant, which is amazing. But for example, Rob, tell us about when we had enough money to last year to fund our 10th cancer research grant.
Yes.
Tell us about who went from our group to basically, give the check.
Oh, yes.
To the cancer researcher.
So the beauty about co-funding with the WTA is it gives the group like a global platform. So when we funded our latest grant, so it was Martina and Chris flying to Houston, because I believe she was from MD Anderson, and we had people from our group, Alexis and Aaron, flew down, as well as Ann Austin, who's the executive director of the WTA Foundation. And they met with the researcher. This would be all of them, right? Martina and Chris, people from our group, and Ann.
So let me just make sure everyone follows Martina Navratilova and Chris Evans, because obviously they are good friends of Bob by now, but not everyone understands.
So you not even mention the full names. Thank you for that. Yes, so good. Yeah.
It was beautiful to see the WTA and Cancer Research Racket fly people to Houston, coordinate schedules to make the presentation to the researcher, and then basically spend the afternoon together talking and sharing. Because as Marilyn shared, both Martina and Chris have fought battles like all of us have, and it was a special day, right? So people took time out of their very busy schedules to fly and be part of that moment.
It's meaningful. That's why people are doing this. Yeah. I mean, there's another thing is, we all ordinary people. And then so we all get our full-time job. We all have an emotional link. Because, my story is my late husband passed away by the cancer. And then you get cancer 20 years ago.
It was blood cancer and your late husband was?
Prostate cancer, yeah. He got it like very early, like 40s. We all ordinary people, but we want to do something to help the society, helping, fighting the cancer, support the cancer.
Well, to that point, and this kind of goes back to your earlier question about why are the Europeans joining our group, and I think there's a little bit to this, right? Which is when you can find out that you can just jump in, we're all just, again, ordinary folks.
Everybody can jump in, do something.
But if you want to jump in with both feet and go to events, host events, you don't have to go through any of the bureaucratic items that you might have to do at a different charitable organization, right? You can go right in and make a difference, host an event, and basically be co-funding a grant right away versus working your way up the political structure. Like there's no politics here. This is just do.
Politics is slows down things, right? The red tapes take time to get it, right? So now, like as an ordinary person, like we just jump in with the 2 feet and then start to initiate the campaign, right?
Yes. And again, as we shared before, this is a group, basically a friend of friend group, right? So if you're within your circle of friends, there are others who care about the cause and they're like, gosh, that sounds like a really fun thing you're doing, right? How can I get involved?
Yes.
Those are the people.
How can we get involved? Can you tell us everybody wants to get involved? How?
So currently our group, again, grows about the rate of 400 people a year because it's a friend-to-friend group. So if your friends want to get involved, they're in because they're a friend of yours. But that's basically been the way that we've expanded. But 400 people who are doers and well-connected and want to make a difference, that's a big ad every year.
400 people from different part of the world.
We're growing 400 people a year globally.
And then, yes, it's your friend of friends, and then it's a kind of, there's a sales strategy, but this one, we're using the same for doing, not the sales, is that we collect the donors for the...
But the other difference, right, with this group is people don't join to then put it on their resume and sit on their couch. These are people who join and they're like, where can I travel? Where's the next event? Where am I going to? So one of the friends that we met in San Francisco in December was like, this sounds great. It's a perfect fit for me. He joined us in Dublin. He joined us in Paris. He joined us in London on this trip. So there are people who not only say yes, but then
They follow
do.
us. Yeah, they follow you. Yeah.
And look, it's all about, because our events are just about having fun at an event while doing something for a great cause.
Yeah.
It also is something that attracts your friends of friends. Like imagine this year, how privileged we were. Our day one gala at the Roland-Garros, so our annual event at the Roland-Garros was the day that we had the Rafael Nadal ceremony. So we were all in a suite, able to watch this very special ceremony. And at the same time, it's sometimes serendipity, sometimes there are things that happen for a reason at the same time. And we were celebrating 20 years of Observation, 20 years of the group existing, at the same time that Rafael Nadal was doing his retirement ceremony. At the same time, we were already discussing with the French Tennis Federation to potentially expand next year, because our group is massively expanding, to a one-day event, to potentially a two-day event, simply because we are that big as a group. So things happen for a reason. And then look, we're meeting you today.
Yeah. And we're going to have events in
somehow things happened,
Yeah.
and dots were connected.
Yes,
So
exactly.
One of the things we try to be not careful about, but we're mindful of,
Yes.
is we want the events to be memorable. So when you join us, hopefully next year at the French Tennis Federation at Roland-Garros.
Hope so. I know you are in the waiting list now.
But you're it. You're it. But when you see the type of hospitality that the French Tennis Federation provides to the group, it's like none other. So we are always confident each year that our guests are going to have an amazing experience. So one of the other things that I'm working on, right, and we'll see if we can get this to happen, but from a memory event here in London at the O2, you have Mamma Mia the Party. I don't know if you've been to Mamma Mia the Party. It is one of the most memorable events, 5-hour ABBA immersion experience. Eventually, I would love to sell that out for a night, right? Because it's another thing where at the end of the day, if we host an event and if people fly home to their cities and countries and people say, how was your time in Paris? And they yawn, that's not good.
That's not a good sign. Yeah.
We want them when they return from one of our events in any city, any country, to go, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
I had the best time, and you've got to come next year.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
how it happens. Yeah. Okay.
Event selection's important.
Right.
But
okay.
the French Tennis Federation does an amazing job.
Right. Okay. Can we ask, how much involvement you gave for organizing the French Roland-Garros?
Initially, I was just a person saying yes to a proposal.
Yeah.
So literally would you like to come and have champagne at Roland-Garros? That was the first, thing. And I was like, who is that person? Contacted me over LinkedIn that I've never heard of. And we actually connected, came to the event. For some reason, I trusted you. You looked like, a serious person.
Decent person, yeah.
Decent. Roland-Garros was a safe place for me as well. So somehow there was also, something that I was going to go anyway. I'm French by nationality. And then I, helped getting a little bit more French connections along the way. That's just how it happened.
Right. And
Very, very easy.
very easy happens. And then, so what did you do to organize? Did you do helping organize this
Look,
2025
I am just the
one?
one helping to spread the word about making sure that most
the
people
snowball,
come,
right?
that
Like-
the snowball effect for us.
Right.
The real work, Rob's done it.
So we organize it every year, and it's been getting bigger and bigger. It does take some time,
Yeah.
right? So we start planning in October because we have to find out how many people are committed to going to the event, and we have to do that probably by the end of the year. So we have until like December, and then we have to tell the French Tennis Federation how many suites do we need, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, it's a real job to organize an event of that
Yes,
size, to
yeah.
make sure that all the payments are made in advance,
Right.
that everything, you know, is done. And when you move a group of 5 people,
Yes.
you can move in a week. When
Yeah.
you move a group of
200 people. Next year might be 500
you need,
people.
and next time maybe 500, you need to start planning literally 10 months in advance, which is more or less what is being done right now.
But we have somebody to organize that, right? Yeah.
Well,
Or just Rob.
this left hand, and this right hand.
But because the group is amazing folks who care, right, and who've been successful in the business world, if they say they're interested and they're coming, generally they're true to their word.
They
right?
would do is they're spending as much time as possible, you know.
Right. And they already know that, again, this is, while it's wonderful to get tickets to the French Open, they also know it's about the cause. They've met the researchers. So generally, if we say, look, we need funds by the end of the year and we need you to say, yes, I'm in, fine.
Yeah.
Because there's a wait list. There are always some people where life happens, somebody gets sick. There are some cancellations, but not many. And we have other people who are like, I'm in.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
So the hospitality tickets. So if people want to, I know it's a waiting list, but do we selling them as a same price as you can get from the website, or higher or lower? And then what's that?
To my knowledge, I'm not sure that the French Open sells tickets on their website, right? So this is
Wow.
I'm not. My memory is that if you want to go to the French Open, at least in America, you have to apply for permission in October, and then they'll write you back and say, "Oh, we'll give you tickets for this day or that day." So it's
okay.
In the States, it's a difficult ticket
that's
to
different.
get.
I mean, here we can buy from the website. Yeah.
You would be able to
But the
buy
price is the
tickets.
same, right?
Yeah.
And then so
you
we
would
use
be able to basically, you know, buy tickets to hospitality suites as well if you want to. But you would not be able to join such a group of friends and such a great cause.
Yeah.
But yes, we make sure that we align our prices to the same prices that you would have in the retail price.
Is there any portion for the ticket price will go for the charity?
So when we take down the suite, we donate 60 tickets, 30 pairs of tickets to American Cancer Society galas, and then those tickets are live auction items that help raise money for the Cancer Research Grant. So each ticket, a certain portion helps underwrite the 60 tickets that we donate to the American Cancer Society.
Yes. So then that means people buying the tickets
do it as well for a great
doing
cause.
this. Yeah.
Right.
They not only enjoy the tennis and the
and it's not just their portion, and you know that gets there. It's also like a snowball effect with meeting other people who will then have live auction, you know, who are recipients of live auctions that are being done in the States as well.
Right. Yeah. So last question. So American Society supports cancer research all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's happened, we organize a Wimbledon or China WTA tours. So can they allocate the funds to the British specific cancer researcher or Chinese?
So what we've talked with them about, because the American Cancer Society knows that our group is probably half international, right? At some point we would like to not only fund US-based researchers, right? We would like to fund researchers in other countries. So I don't know that we've ever had discussions with them about whether the donated funds could be donated to the British Cancer Society, but we have had conversations about we would like at some point to when we choose our researcher, we would like to choose a researcher who's doing research in the UK or in China or in another country.
So that can happen.
Okay.
Not necessarily via the British Cancer Society,
Yeah.
but again, to be very tangible,
Yeah.
to choose a researcher someplace
Right.
where that's possible.
And so currently, the way we get to choose our cancer researchers is the American Cancer Society funds a lot of cancer research grants. That's what they do. So in order to be on that list for us to consider, the researchers have to apply for a grant to the American Cancer Society. That grant is evaluated, many are selected, and then many are funded. And we fund grants where the money has run out at ACS, and we get to choose from those researchers. So what we're trying to work with them on is, can EU, UK
Researchers apply. So now imagine, given WTA is a global organization, and because Hologic is a global sponsor for WTA, the WTA 1,500 events in China are actually, through the ACEs of the WTA players, already funding our programs. So when you have ACEs on Chinese tours,
Yeah.
this money already goes to the program via the ACEs by Hologic partnership.
Oh, right. Okay. So
So every time next time you watch
Chinese
a WTA player at
in China,
Chinese
yeah.
major event,
yeah. All the
see an
ACEs.
ACEs, clap even louder because that money goes for cancer research.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing. Right. Yeah.
So we continue to adapt, right? We would love to have global researchers as opposed to just US-based researchers. I'm confident that day and time will come, but we welcome donor support and donor activity joining us anywhere in the world to watch this continue to grow.
I'm sure the snowball gonna be rolling bigger and bigger, just like my dog is called Snowball, and getting bigger and bigger.
We're not planning on stopping.
Like when I met Bob 11 years ago, we were far away from the multi-entities partnership that we now have between American Cancer Society, WTA Charity, Hologic, and the French Tennis Federation, helping us to organize one of our major events of the year in Roland-Garros. Now everything has come together, and I'm sure there will be many more, milestones to come.
I'm sure. But if like a British cancer research, they want to do the same things, so what they need to be follow, or how is that going to work?
If you believe, like we believe, that the important part is providing to your donors showing a tangible result, I think you'd have to talk to the British Research Society and say, I think we could get people to join in this if we had a tangible result. What can you do? Because at the American Cancer Society, it took a couple years to work that out. So I think the first thing would be, is there a UK Cancer Society who would work with you on that? And you have to believe that there might.
To give you, a tangible list that you can help fund.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first step.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we go from there. I mean, so I am the donor of coaching, and then so now they send me the emails and then the data, and then so now we have this conversation. We also try to understand how it operates, and then we're trying to do the same thing, expanding our team from American Cancer Society, British, and China. That's our vision.
That's great.
Good one.
So exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for you coming today. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you for having us.